Hi everybody, Mrs. Houston here. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about solving equations. So on the worksheet you can see that the first example was done for you. I'd just like to walk through that a little bit. Remember, when you're solving an equation, your goal is to isolate the variable or get the x by itself. So as you can see here, we leave the x term here and we did the inverse operation, or the opposite here. So since this says plus 7, we did minus 7 to both sides. Okay, and then you get 0. You bring down the 2x. 10 minus 7 is 3. I just recopied that over here to have a little bit of room. 2x equals 3. That means 2 times x equals 3. And to figure out what number gets multiplied by 2 to give you 3, we have to do the inverse, or divide by 2. So we divided by 2 on both sides, and that 2 divided by 2 gives us that 1x by itself. So our answer was 3/2. And the nice part about this worksheet is you can see that your answers are listed. You may have to reduce the fraction, but then you should be able to find your answers over here. Okay, next I would like to skip ahead a little bit and talk about number 4. So if you'll notice, number 4, all they did was change the order around a little bit. So the 34 is on the left side and the 6 minus 8x is on the other side. Now you want to follow the same procedures. Things are put in a little different position. Okay, so we want to keep the x here because we're trying to get the x by itself. So we're going to take care of this 6. And since there's no sign in front of the 6, it's really a positive 6. This minus sign here goes with the 8. So that's a negative 8x. Okay, so the inverse, or the opposite, would be to subtract 6. And whatever we do on one side, we have to make sure that we do to the other side. Okay, so on this side, 6 minus 6 is 0. I'm just going to cross it out. And then 34 minus 6 is 28. And I have to write it over here because I kind of ran out of room. You can always show your work on a separate paper if you feel like this worksheet is too, there's not enough room. All right, so 28 equals negative 8x. And now negative 8 times x, the opposite is to divide. Okay, you always divide by the number that's in front of the x, or whatever variable it happens to be. In this case, they're all x's. Okay, and whatever we do on one side, we have to do on the other side. So if we now, hopefully, let's see if I can show you on the calculator here. If you look at your answer choices, 28 over negative 8 was not a choice. So what I would recommend that you do is you press alpha y equals enter, get the fraction, and let's put this in as a fraction and see if it can be reduced. Okay, so if I put in 28 over negative 8, you'll see we get negative 7/2. Now I don't see that here on my worksheet, but it's probably just down a little bit lower. Okay, and on this side, we have to divide negative 8 by negative 8. And I've been telling a couple of you, go ahead and divide that and see what you get. The same number divided by itself is always 1. Okay, so that's why we divide by that negative 8. We want to get a 1x, or the x to be by itself. So we end up with, I already forget, 7/2, I think. Yeah, negative 7/2 is equal to x.